Welcome. This is another dry water tutorial video. Recently, we made a countdown video for a live broadcast. Well, I made a countdown and this is what it'll look like. And so I'm going to be going through some basic steps of how to get this going. So let's jump into it. So here we have After Effects open. I just want to start with a simple text layer. For now, I'll just write countdown, and this text will just replace later with an expression. The expression we'll be using, I'll have in the description or somewhere. I have it in another layer right now. So just go ahead and wherever it's at, just copy it. Go to the text, alt-click in the source text, and paste your expression right in there, and that should do it. Now, one of the biggest things it does is the hundreds will flip over after 60, just like a clock. And the next thing you do is drop on a slider control to the countdown layer. So go ahead and make two keyframes, one at 0 and the other at 5 times 60. Get the slider control expression and go ahead and paste that into your slider, and that just turns the slider number into a whole number so you don't get all these decimal points. And take your two slider keyframes and just switch them around because we're counting down. Just make sure they are still exactly 5 minutes apart. And I went with the font Aldo, which was the font from the client, and I think it looks pretty cool. Now go ahead and make a copy of that countdown layer because we'll do minutes and seconds, and we can rename them so we know what we're looking at. And we can just mask off the minutes and mask off the seconds. And we can change the justification because as this counts, the numbers will move around. So the minutes I just set to left justification. Next, make a new circle shape layer, and we're only using the stroke, and you can turn that down something thin, and go ahead and center that as best you can over your numbers. Now next, we want to add a trim path. Probably can't see it here, just click on add trim path. On trim path end, make it 25%, so it gives it a quarter of the full circle. Under stroke, change lined cap to round cap. And to duplicate the ellipse and change the offset by 180. And if it's not already, put the anchor point in the center of your shape and add some keyframes to rotate it 180 degrees. We'll put down 3 keyframes, one with no rotation, the next at 180 degrees, and the next one just at your 180 again. Spread them out so they are a second apart from the first keyframe to the last keyframe. And then grab this loop out expression. It's pretty simple. And paste that into your rotation expression. And I just gave it some smoothing in the graph editor. Now for the minute shape layer, I did kind of the same thing. So go ahead and duplicate that, but pull the keyframe, the last keyframe out to a minute from the first one. That should do the same thing. And change the color to what you want, if you want. Now I like this font that I used, but in order for the numbers to not jump around because of spacing, I found a mono-spaced font. This one's called Hyperfont, just so the numbers don't jump around. Go ahead and reposition them because everything's going to change. And that's your counter. It should all line up. You can move your layers around to have the numbers change exactly when you want in the rotation. Now, as a bonus, something I saw in a template is the numbers fell down into place and then fell off. Tried my best to recreate that. At the numbers keyframe, set one where it's at, and then the next one you want below the circle. One frame later, put your numbers above the circle, and farther down, the next one is right on. In the second keyframe where it drops, you want to change that one to a hold keyframe. Now add one more keyframe exactly a second before your farthest along position keyframe. And go ahead and paste your loop expression again. You know, the first and last keyframes are a total of a second apart. It should just drop out of the way again. Another one should come up. Now, so the numbers only appear inside the circle, we're going to create another shape layer above the seconds control. And to stay a little organized, I'm going to name some layers. This one is the seconds mask. And on the seconds layer, we'll change the track mat to alpha mat. And we'll name our spinning layers so we can stay organized as well. We can move our layers around to get something more aesthetically pleasing with the timing. And we'll do the same thing to the minute keyframes. We'll put the keyframes in the same place as we did in the seconds one, so you just line them up. And that second keyframe, again, we'll change to toggle hold keyframe. So it won't move to that upper position, it'll just be there. So it loops correctly, we'll put the other keyframe down the timeline a minute. And you can copy and paste that looping expression. For the last part, we'll just copy that seconds mask and put it over the minutes layer. Here's a countdown timer you can use for whatever your purpose is with a little visual flair. Well, I hope this gives you some ideas of what you can do on your own. All right, thanks for sticking around.